Hi everybody, welcome to or back to Building the Bookshelf. Today we are talking about a newer release. We are talking about Mona's Eyes by Thomas Schlesser. This one is I think this is one to kind of savor. This is not necessarily a quick read, at least for me. I really wanted to take my time to go through it and make sure I was really appreciating the amount of time and effort that the author had put into all of the descriptions of the artwork that is in this book. So it's a little bit of a thick one too, so it'll keep you busy for a little while. So the premise of this book is Mona is our main character. So she is a little girl who is facing a potentially life-altering diagnosis that she will be losing her sight. So, there are some challenges that she has in her family dynamic. Honestly, I feel a little bit bad for her because it seems like she's kind of brushed aside a little bit, and I don't think it's necessarily done intentionally, but there's conflict between the parents and they're trying to figure out what the right course of action is for her, and they're trying to protect her from, all of the truth of her situation. But kids are, they're intuitive and they're listening, and their ears and eyes are always open when we think that they're asleep. So she's aware of a lot more than they kind of give her credit for, and I think that lends to a lot of uncertainty in the situation. So her grandfather enters the scene and he decides that he's going to take her to see a different piece of art every week for a year. So 52 different pieces of artwork, so that she can remember them in her mind for if and when she loses her sight. So he's supposed to be taking her to a psychologist, and he's taking her to visit the art museum instead. So playing a little bit of hooky with grandpa. So it takes you through each one of those art pieces, and it's another one that's just kind of like a warm hug. Again, it makes me think about having older, wiser people in our lives. If you're fortunate enough to still have your grandparents in your life, or if you have someone that has fulfilled that role, or just someone that is wiser than you, that has a little bit more life behind them than you do, like what questions can you ask them and have an interaction with them and gain some of that wisdom before there isn't time, right? Because we all have a finite amount of time. We think we have all the time in the world, but that is not the case. So I love her grandfather's kind of role in this. And then when it comes to the art pieces themselves, I really tried to savor each of the descriptions of the art piece. I think the author does an amazing job at this. And I even kind of played a game just with myself, which again might be a fun thing for you to do if you're reading this with friends, or if you're doing it in a book club, where I would think about what I thought that art piece would look like, and then I tried to test it and compare it to, then I would look up the artwork afterwards and see how close I was to it. There's also a workbook that I will try to find a link for you guys in the description below that goes over all of those art pieces that are described here in the book, because they are actual art pieces, so that you guys can see that too. I think it's kind of fun to go along with it that way. I'm a very visual person, so I liked having, the visual element of it. But, he's taking her through those pieces, and I think it's interesting just the different reactions, or the reaction that he might have to an art piece versus the reaction she might have to the art piece, the reaction that you might have to the art piece. The same thing, this is the beauty of art, right? Everybody interprets it a little bit differently, and it speaks to them differently. So, what were some of the art pieces that stood out to you? That's one of the questions that I would love to hear. Did you have a favorite one, or did you have a favorite one going into it and then ended up loving something else that you were introduced to in this process? It was a really beautiful journey of going through so many of these works of art, I guess I should say, that a lot of us will never have a chance to see in real life. So that was a unique way to do it. And I said, I really tried to take my time and appreciate those pieces, even, when you are seeing works of art in person. At least for me, it's always like, it's go, 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 and we're trying to get to the next thing, and, okay, there it is, great, snap a picture of it, and then we're moving on to the next gallery or whatever it is. So I really tried to be intentional as I was going through this book about it. The other part of one of the themes of the book is, if you were losing your ability to do something, if you were losing your senses, how crushing that would be. I think it would just be brutal to have something and then to lose it. What sense would you miss the most if it was something that you were going to lose and you were going to lose it, and how would you try to prepare for it? It's also one of those things, there's the time-long question, would you want to know that it was coming, or would you want to just have it lost and just have to move on with life from there? So I think that that's an interesting dynamic to think about as well. So yeah, what are some of those questions that you would ask those people in your life that are a little bit older than you? And I would love to hear what you guys thought about the artwork. And if you get the companion guide, as I said, going through, and maybe you missed one along the way or missed what the name of it was. I love how Mona gets frustrated with some of the pieces where she's not gaining anything from it, or she just, same thing like all of us, she just wants to move on to the next thing, and she's like, Grandpa, let's be done with this one. I think that was not just something that a child can relate to, but definitely that adults can relate to. So even though the premise of it is a heavy topic, I think there's a lot of heartwarming parts in it, and it does make you think about some of those things. So Mona's Eyes, definitely worth it. I think this is one that I will revisit also. I have not reread this one yet, but I will, and I think reading it alongside the companion guide would be really fun too.